Alright, so a few days ago, I shared a video on setting up the Hummingbird version 3 for the first time. And after logging more flight hours, I have to say this little drone has more exceeded my expectation, as you can literally feel the thoughts and passion Newbeedrone have put into this quad. So I believe the Hummingbird version 3 is going to be an excellent choice for beginner looking to start their OOP journey. But just to keep things fair and try to be unbiased as possible, I will be sharing both the pros and cons based on my personal experience. This way, you can decide if the Hummingbird version 3 is the right fit for you to start this OOP season. Let's dive in. Okay, so since the spec of the Hummingbird version 3 are easily accessible online, I'm just going to be displaying them on the screen so you can pause them and review if needed. Now, let's dive into the pros first. All right, let's check out pro number 1. So the main pro for the Hummingbird version 3 and why I think it is the perfect beginner OOP is it has excellent default tuning. Unlike many competitors' OOPs that may require additional tweaking or setting up to perform well, the Hummingbird version 3 is just ready to go right out of the box. This great tuning provides much better control, makes it feel like it's flying on the rail. For beginners, having a well-tuned quad, I would say it's just so crucial because it makes flying so much easier and the controls are just so much more manageable. With more predictable stick inputs, you'll find it easier to aim for gaps and build up your throttle management skill and essentially your confidence of flying. So I mentioned this because many competitors don't include good tuning in their products. They're just tuned to an okay flyable status, but that's about it. I will say this is what makes the Newbeedrone Hummingbird so unique in this case, at least in the OOP sector. Alright, so pro number 2. So building on the first point, the Hummingbird does offer a well-balanced performance ratio. Initially, I kind of underestimated the freestyle capability because I kind of like get stuck in the gyno bias because knowing that people generally say Newbeedrone OOPs are generally going to be heavier, but not this one. This one, after I put in more packs, yeah, I kind of discovered that it actually packs a punch. So obviously, this is not going to be a high performance machine like heavy shaved weight OOPs that has a super high KV whatsoever, but this one, yeah, it's good enough for regular freestyle moves. So as I was saying, regular freestyle like split S, power loops, Hummingbird handle is just fine. As long as you're not pushing it to a hardcore freestyle limit, it performs just fine and actually quite good. Alright, pro number 3. So Newbeedrone's OOPs are generally known for their solid build and high quality. In the Hummingbird version 3, I say it's no exception. It is designed to be robust to make it perfect for beginners who are still mastering basic movements. And during this learning phase, you are just likely going to crash a lot, but the Hummingbird version 3 I would say, takes a lot of beating because based on what the design looks like and the thickness of all the plastic around it, I would say this should be a pretty good practice drone that you can use to master your beginner skills. And most of the time, the only thing you're probably going to damage, if there's any, is going to be the frame. But if you manage to break the frame, Newbeedrone does offer a building warranty that covers all their frames. They will replace it for you, but keep in mind this warranty only applies to the frame, not the canopy. I don't know why, but yeah, just the frame itself. So probably this one is going to break easier, but this one I don't think is going to break at all. And also do pay attention that this warranty, it's only valid in the United States only. Okay, so pro number 4. So Newbeedrone is in fact a local business based in San Diego, California, and they offer much better USA customer service compared to many China-based competitors. So as a beginner in FPV, having accessible and reliable customer support, I would say is pretty crucial, as you most likely will need assistance to resolve issue and answer your questions as you navigate the early stage of your FPV journey. And based on the general community feedback, Newbeedrone does seems to be pretty good at this area. So if customer service is the concern, then I think this is a pretty good one for you. So pro number 5, I will say this one is a no-brainer and probably the best reason of all. The Hummingbird costs only $89.99 US. And in today's market, that is an incredible deal, especially when you compare the rival offerings that are much higher. Mostly, I think this is the cheaper OOP that you can get in the market. So if the price isn't enough to convince you, Newbeedrone often has sales that can bring the price down even further, as currently it is selling at $79.99. So keep an eye on their website to snag a deal if you want to save the most of your buck. But even at the $89 price, I would say this is still a no-brainer. You get a fantastic drone as a bang of buck. Alright, we covered all the pros. Now let's dive into some cons. First con is my initial deal breaker. The reason why I didn't want to get a Newbeedrone Hummingbird version 3 is due to the VTX only generates a 25 milliwatt output. That means you won't be able to fly really far or be behind steep obstacle behind very thick obstacles. However, after flying it, I realized it is not that bad. You can still fly in your yard with decent distance, but going further just isn't recommended. So if this is a concern for you, the Hummingbird might not be the best choice, but personal experience, so generally I just fly in my front yard, and I never, for this size of whoop, I generally don't go really far anyway because the battery is going to die. The second con is the Hummingbird still uses the old PH 2.0 connectors. So these are the old PH 2.0 batteries. It doesn't mean the battery is old, just the connector is old. So most of the hobby has already moved to BT 2.0 or the A30. It is like using an older generation iPhone. The performance is one thing, but the main issue is the hassle of maintaining two types of LiPo. If you only have a BT 2.0 or A30, you will either need to swap this cable personally into a BT 2.0 or a A30 by yourself, or you're just going to have to buy some PH 2.0 LiPos for your collection. And keeping two LiPos is just a little bit much to me. Alright, so let's move on to the third con. So the Hummingbird feels a bit outdated compared to its competitor. Most whoop designers are moving towards lighter, more stripped down canopies, but the Hummingbird is still like a full enclosure, which adds extra weight. Don't get me wrong, a full canopy is great for durability, but it does impact performance since every single gram matters in this whoop world. This isn't going to be a big deal for beginners, but it might not appeal to more experienced pilots that are more power hungry, which I really hope to see an update version of the Newbeedrone Hummingbird very, very soon. I hope the next generation, they kind of strip down most of the stuff and at the same time offer the same kind of performance. So that is basically my take of the Newbeedrone Hummingbird. And what is my final thoughts? I would say if you're a beginner thinking about getting into the whoop verse or just getting started in the whoop season, or you just have some extra cash that you wanted to throw in for a decent whoop, I would say the Hummingbird is a pretty good choice. So if you need help setting it up for the first time, check out my setup tutorial right below. And if you want to learn more about the basics of FPV, check out my FPV 101 series right here. It's getting updated and should be completed real soon. Okay, I will appreciate if you can subscribe and stay tuned, and I will see you in the next one.